On the 7th of October 2017, 37-year-old Dr. Ruja Ignatova, who had a PhD in European private law, was due to take the stage at a conference in Lisbon, Portugal, but she failed to show up at the event. Contacted their head office to see if there were any delays or anything like that, but what they found out shocked them to the core. The head office confirms that she had left her headquarters in Sofia, Bulgaria, to take a plane to the event in Lisbon. Ruja Ignatova was born on Friday the 30th of May 1980 in the capital city of Bulgaria, which is Sofia. At the age of 10, Ruja emigrated with her family to Schramberg, Germany. Her dissertation was called Chances and Perspectives of the Reform of the Jurisdiction at the Place of Performance, and it was published in 2005, earning her a PhD in European private law. Dr. Ruja began work as a management consultant in autumn of 2004 as her PhD studies were coming to an end. Not 2 years later, Dr. Ruja would walk onto the stage at Wembley Arena in front of an audience of thousands of people who cheered her name. Then, the year following that, Dr. Ruja would disappear without a trace. But for some further context, a cryptocurrency is a digital or virtual currency that is secured by cryptography, which makes it nearly impossible to counterfeit or double spend. The key value is that, unlike traditional banks, cryptocurrency is decentralized, which means that they are effectively immune to government interference or manipulation. To achieve this, a cryptocurrency will use blockchain technology, which you can think of as a gigantic book, which everyone who has the cryptocurrency has a copy of. When a transaction is made, everybody who has a copy of that book receives an update, and it is verified against everyone's records using some very complex and complicated mathematics. This means that nobody is able to manipulate or change the blockchain, regardless of whether it's the cryptocurrency's owner or a government party. Dr. Ruja and her team went to dozens of events to promote their brand new cryptocurrency, which they claimed to have fixed Bitcoin's flaws, making it better than Bitcoin. To join Onecoin, you have to go to their website and purchase one of 5 packages. These packages allow you not only access to use Onecoin, but also grants you access to Onecoin's affiliate scheme, though you do have to pay an extra $30 to access the affiliate scheme. The packages initially started at €100 for the starter package, going all the way up to €5,000 for the Tycoon Trader package, with leaked reports showing that in the first 6 months of 2016, the British public invested almost €30 million into the company, at a rate of €2 million a week. A woman called Jen McAdams from Glasgow, Scotland, was one of these investors. And it wasn't as if Dr. Ruja didn't have the background to back up her claims. She had even appeared on the front cover of Forbes magazine in Bulgaria. Dr. Ruja's conferences and events where she would promote Onecoin were attended by the masses, despite having to pay money to get a ticket. And at these events, people would chant Onecoin over and over again.
Come on guys, take some energy. Onecoin, Onecoin, Onecoin.
They even had their own hand symbol that they would use to identify other Onecoin investors. The new chief technical officer would be given an apartment, a car, and an annual salary of £250,000. Jen McAdam, who had along with her family and friends invested over €250,000 into Onecoin, had been contacted by a stranger. In 2009, the Volterhoven foundry filed for bankruptcy, but all was not lost for the foundry and its some 137 employees, as in April of 2010, Dr. Ruja Ignatova and her father bought the firm and allegedly contributed a substantial sum to keep the foundry afloat. One employee told the press, The firm is better off than ever before, but the owner takes money out, doesn't pay supplier invoices, doesn't take care of the garbage. There are no new filter bags, even the ones that were promised to customers. In the weeks following Jen McAdams' Skype conversation with Tim Curry, Tim sent her emails with links to videos and articles of how exactly cryptocurrencies work. He also introduced Jen to John Jerker, who told her that Onecoin didn't even have a blockchain. You see, they could train their Onecoins on the One Exchange for euros, but the One Exchange had substantial limitations on how much you could trade a day, and only people who purchased the most expensive packages were allowed access to it. The investors began to grow concerned about the lack of usability and accessibility to the One Exchange, and so it was deemed that at the Lisbon, Portugal event, Dr. Ruja would reopen the One Exchange to everyone, and finally investors could begin to reap their rewards. As we discussed earlier, the man that started Onecoin with Dr. Ruja was called Sebastian Greenwood. Sebastian had previously been involved with a now defunct scam cryptocurrency called Bitcoin and another scam multi-level marketing company called Prosper Inc. The president of Onecoin was a man called Nigel Allen, who had previously scammed thousands out of their money through a multitude of different companies, with the Financial Supervision Commission in Bulgaria issuing a statement on the 30th of September 2015 informing potential investors that the activities related to the acquisition, trading and payment of Onecoin are not regulated by the applicable European and national capital markets legislation. Most notably, in December of 2016, the Chinese government arrested several members of Onecoin and investors and seized $30.8 million worth of assets. The Indian authorities launched a massive investigation into Onecoin and recovered $3.77 million US, though $11.52 million US had been transferred out of company accounts before the Indian authorities were able to get to it. Interestingly, on the 10th of July 2017, the Navi Mumbai police in India filed a charge sheet against several of the members and investors that they had arrested earlier that year, along with filing charges against Dr. Ruja Ignatova. John Jerker, who was the blockchain expert who turned down the job at Onecoin, had been exposing Onecoin as a fraud very publicly. On the 6th of February 2018, the NYSD court filed a sealed indictment on the order of the US Marshals against Dr. Ruja's business partner, Sebastian Greenwood. The indictment listed 5 charges: 1 count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud, 1 count of wire fraud, 1 count of conspiracy to commit money laundering, 1 count of conspiracy to commit securities fraud, and 1 count of securities fraud. He also testified in the trial of a US lawyer called Mark Scott, who was accused of routing around $400 million US out of the United States in an attempt to conceal who exactly owned the money and what exactly the source of the funds was. Mark Scott, who was a part of the Onecoin operations, faced 2 charges: 1 count of conspiracy to commit money laundering and 1 count of conspiracy to commit bank fraud. According to an article from the BBC, Dr. Ruja had been living in her hometown of Sofia, Bulgaria in the lead up to her disappearance, and asked him to purchase plane tickets to Vienna, Austria, and then to Athens, Greece. Mark Scott currently faces a 50-year prison sentence for the charges brought against him, which the judge states the prosecution has overwhelming evidence against him for, and he would be stripped of his attorney license. It also emerged that the Bulgarian Forbes cover, which featured Dr. Ruja Ignatova as Businesswoman of the Year, was faked. She had been in that issue, but only on a paid, full-page advertisement buried deep within the magazine. According to the BBC article, which I've linked in my sources, 22-year-old Daniel Leonhard in 2016 scraped together 700,000 Ugandan shillings, approximately $200 US, so that he could buy the Onecoin starter package. Onecoin had given a promoter in Daniel's area a brand new car to impress new recruits, and this promoter had been told to go prey on the farmers as they had money in their pockets. Some of the kids are at home sitting without going to school, some don't have anywhere to sleep, some are running because they got loans from a bank, some are hiding, some are divorced. They had enlisted the aid of a private investigator who is infamous for tracking down missing people, and he had provided them with the information that when several waiters in Athens were shown photographs of Dr. Ruja, they claimed to have remembered seeing her early in 2018, which was after her vanishing act. When Georgia and I being the two people behind the Crypto Queen podcast, called them ourselves to check, they confirmed it. So it seems Ruja is still alive and is able to visit a European capital without fearing arrest. Another lead came our way when we paid a visit to a bizarre Onecoin beauty pageant in Bucharest. It's as glitzy as you would expect. Men were drinking champagne from the bottle. Everyone was eyeing us in a way that made us feel very uncomfortable. We soaked up the atmosphere, cheered the British contestants, and then left. But later we heard that we might have been in the presence of Dr. Ruja, that she was there in the same room, right in front of our noses, except now with plastic surgery, so she is harder to spot. From either Greece or Romania, Dr. Ruja could be extradited to the United States. If it is true that she was in fact in these countries earlier this year, she probably now has a fake identity. Even the most obscure entry or innocuous comment on a forum is usually saved somewhere, and with enough digging can be found. You've heard of Google, but there are several other search engines that specialize in this. So we started to unearth previous addresses, known friends, old phone numbers, anything that could help us in our search. We already knew that Dr. Ruja spent some of her childhood in Schremberg, southern Germany. We had also visited the town of Weiterhofen in Bavaria, not far away, where she and her father bought a steelworks around a decade ago, an episode that led her being tried for fraud. While in Weiterhofen, we learned that she had a German husband, a lawyer for the well-known firm Linklaters, but we were still surprised when, during our internet searches, Frankfurt started appearing over and over again. It wasn't a place we'd previously thought of looking. There were several odd addresses in the Frankfurt area, ones she'd posted in forums many years ago, or were associated somehow with old telephone numbers of hers. Then we started looking at some old photos of Ruja and spotted one friend who appeared with her all the way back in 2011, and that friend was visiting the richest neighbourhood in Frankfurt in summer this year. From a tiny fragment of a poster advertising a tennis tournament, an expert identified the park in which one photograph was taken. Armed with a microphone and several photographs of Dr. Ruja, we headed off to Frankfurt and searched old addresses and gated neighbourhoods said to be the most expensive in Germany. A couple of people looked at the photographs and paused for a long time, raising our hopes, but then said they didn't recognise her. A postman thought he recognised the name, but couldn't be sure. We called the lawyer who is, or was, married to her, but he didn't want to talk. Did we get close to her? Could she really be hiding out in the heart of the EU? We don't know. Frankfurt probably isn't the only place she goes. It might be one of several places, including perhaps Dubai and Russia. Then, a few days later, we received a call from a trusted source we cannot identify. He told us that we were right. Frankfurt is indeed where she spends much of her time, but we need to keep going. We needed to find the house. You will find her, he said. You must dig deeper. She would have known that you were looking for her, he added, and she would have laughed at us. Dr. Ruja has likely used her enormous wealth to bribe the people around her to conceal her true identity, and has probably hired a team of experts so that when people come looking for her, she'd know. We can only hope that the relevant authorities can track her down, arrest her, and charge her with the horrific fraudulent crimes that she has committed. She's not only responsible for ruining the lives of Jen McAdam and her friends and family, and Daniel, but millions and millions of people across the planet. Those people who fell victim to this scam have likely had their relationships and friendships with friends and family severely tarnished or even ended as a direct result of Onecoin. Some reporters speculate that due to the sheer amount of money invested into the Onecoin scheme, and with reports that many people took out big bank loans to invest into Onecoin, it's highly likely that there has already been or there will be suicides as a direct result of Onecoin. I find it particularly interesting that Dr. Ruja's brother claims that there are some very dark, influential people involved in the operation of Onecoin. And I also wouldn't be surprised if there was an involvement of a criminal gang. I doubt you'd believe me if I told you that I've only scraped the surface of the case of Onecoin in this video. There is so many more details, there is so much more to be said, but if I were to talk about it, this video would end up being 3 or 4 hours long. The Onecoin rabbit hole is a hole that I implore you to jump down and conduct your own research. And a good place to start off your research is listening to the BBC Sounds podcast, The Missing Crypto Queen, which is, I believe, an 8-part podcast, with the final episode being an hour long, the first few episodes being 20 to 30 minutes. It is very in-depth, and the team over there went out, traveled to different countries and interviewed a lot of people. That podcast is a really good place to start. Jump into this case if you've got a few hours to spare, and you'll find yourself at 3 o'clock in the morning still researching this case and still finding out more information. If you find out any more information that I've not included in this video, be sure to comment that down below. But what do you think of this case? Do you think Dr. Ruja is hiding out somewhere to evade the capture of the authorities? Or do you think she is being kidnapped or killed by competitors or perhaps a criminal gang who is involved? Let me know down in the comment section. And that's everything that I have for you in today's case. Thank you so much for watching this episode in my Curious Case series. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you want to see more true crime videos just like this one, and hit that bell icon so you can be notified every single time. With all that being said, I'll see you in the next case.